Yo, it's Yerk, and today I'm going to teach you how to make the fixing wires task from Among Us in Fortnite Creative. By the end of this tutorial, you'll be able to make this task in your own creative maps. This mechanic can be used for all kinds of maps, not just Among Us / Spy Within maps. So even if you're not making an Among Us map, you'll still want to stick around for this one. And real quick before we get started, if you guys enjoyed this video, do me a favor, drop a like, hit subscribe. We are on the road to 50k, and when we hit 50k, we're giving away 50,000 V-Bucks and doing a face reveal. So if you're not already, hit subscribe, but let's get into this tutorial. Okay, so the very first thing that we need to do is we need to grab these lights from the customizable light gallery. Once we've grabbed our light, we're just going to rotate it and shrink it down a little bit. Now we're going to assign 4 colors to a channel. Open up the settings and we're going to set the initial state to off. Then we're going to set the color to red. And we also want to change the color change time to instant. Then go down to the bottom and we want to set reset when receiving from to channel 6. And because this is our first color, we're going to set this to when activated, transmit on channel 1. Then we're going to click OK and we're going to copy that light and we're going to paste it down 1 position lower. All we're going to change is the color and we're going to change it to yellow, and then we're going to set when activated transmit on channel 2. Once again, we're going to copy the yellow and place it down 1 position lower, and we're going to change the color to blue. Then we're going to set when activated transmit on to channel 3 and click OK, and do it one last time for the 4th and final color, which is going to be purple, and when activated transmit on channel 4. Then what we want to do is we just want to mirror this, and for now we want to keep them just straight across from each other, but later on you can rearrange them as you wish. Next we need to go to the primitive shapes gallery. Open up the primitive shapes gallery and we want to grab this piece right here, and we're just going to set this down on each light just like this, and then we're going to change the color of the shape to the corresponding light that it is touching. Now we're going to set up the system that will reset the lights if we connect the wires to the wrong color. So we're going to grab out a trigger from the devices tab and we're just going to place it down. For the sake of this tutorial, I've gone through and renamed every trigger to help you guys remember what's going on in case you get confused. But we're going to place down a trigger and open up the settings, and for this first one we're going to set transmit every 2 triggers. Then we want to set reset times triggered when receiving from to channel 6 and trigger when receiving from channel 1. Then we want to set when triggered transmit on channel 5. And just so you guys remember, I have lights here indicating which trigger we are messing with that is changing which light. Then we just want to copy this trigger and place it down right next to it. This is going to be our yellow trigger, so we're just going to open it up and set trigger when receiving from channel 2. Do this again for the blue one, and we're going to set trigger when receiving from channel 3. And one more time for the purple one, setting this to trigger when receiving from channel 4. Next, we're going to place down a fresh trigger and open up the settings. We want to set enabled on game start to disabled. Then we just want to set enable when receiving from channel 1 because this is going to be for the red trigger. Then we want to set disable when receiving from channel 5. Trigger when receiving from channel 2, and when triggered transmit on channel 6. Now, we're just going to copy this trigger and place it down right below it, and now we're just going to change this to trigger when receiving from channel 3. Once more, we're going to copy and paste again, and we're just going to set this to trigger when receiving from channel 4. That way we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the trigger when receiving from setting. Now we're just going to copy these 3 triggers and we're going to paste them over to the yellow one. Now, because this yellow one is set to trigger when receiving from channel 2, that means we need to set all of these to enable when receiving from channel 2, and we don't need one that is triggering on channel 2 on here. So we're going to set enable when receiving from channel 2, trigger when receiving from channel 1. Then we're going to skip channel 2 and we're going to go to enable when receiving from channel 2 and trigger when receiving from channel 3. Notice how we don't have a trigger when receiving from channel 2 because channel 2 is the channel that corresponds with this light. And then for the last trigger, we're going to set enable when receiving from channel 2 and leave it at trigger when receiving from channel 4. Then we're going to copy these 3 triggers again and we're going to copy them over to the blue. Now the blue color is set to trigger when receiving from channel 3, so we are going to set enable when receiving from to channel 3 and trigger when receiving from channel 1. Again, enabled on channel 3, and we're going to set trigger when receiving from channel 2. And we're going to skip trigger when receiving from channel 3. So now we're going to set this to trigger when receiving from channel 4, and again, enable when receiving from channel 3. Copy and paste this set of triggers over to the last purple one, and we're going to set the first one to enable when receiving from channel 4, trigger when receiving from channel 1. Second trigger, again, enable on 4 and trigger when receiving from 2. And the final trigger, we're going to set enable on 4 and trigger when receiving from channel 3. Now we want to copy this trigger and we're just going to paste it down right here off to the side. Open up the settings, and now we want to add a delay of 1 second. And we're just going to set the enable when receiving from to channel 6, disable when receiving from channel 5, trigger when receiving from channel 6, and when triggered, transmit on channel 5. So what this has done is made it so once we start connecting a wire, we need to connect it to the correct wire, otherwise we will have to restart. Now we're going to backtrack a little bit, and we're going to go back to our light system, and we want to pull out a billboard device. Open up the settings, and for the text we just want to set a bunch of underscores. Then we want to set the text size to extra large, and we're going to give it thick outline. Then we're just going to change the color for the first one to red. Then we're going to set text visible when receiving from channel 8, and we want to set text hidden when receiving from channel 6. We just want to place this down and connect this to our red wires. Then we're just going to copy it and paste it down right below for the yellow wire, and we're just going to change the color to yellow, and we're going to set text visible when receiving from to channel 9. Then we're going to copy it and paste it down for the blue one, and again we're just going to change the color to blue, and we're going to set text visible when receiving from channel 10. And one last time for the purple wire, changing the color to purple or violet, and then setting text visible when receiving from channel 11. So now you should have something that looks like this. Now we're going to set up what'll trigger that wire animation to turn on. So we're just going to copy these triggers that transmit on channel 5, and we're just going to place them down over here. Starting with the red one, we want to open up the settings, and we're just going to set when triggered transmit on to channel 8. Then move on to the yellow one, and we're just going to set when triggered transmit on channel 9. Onto the blue one, we're going to set when triggered transmit on channel 10. And for the purple one, we're just going to set when triggered transmit on channel 11. Now we're going to place down a fresh trigger and open up the settings. This is going to be for the red wire, so we're just going to set trigger when receiving from channel 8 and when triggered transmit on channel 12. Then we're just going to copy this trigger and paste it down underneath our yellow one, and we're going to set trigger when receiving from channel 9. Copy and paste again for the blue one, changing it to trigger when receiving from channel 10. And one more time for the purple one, setting it to trigger when receiving from channel 11. Now we're going to paste down one more fresh trigger, and this will be our last trigger for this system. And we're going to set transmit every X triggers to 4. Then we want to set reset times triggered when receiving from to channel 6. And we want to set trigger when receiving from channel 12. And finally, when triggered, transmit on channel 7. And now lastly, we need to grab a tracker device. Place down your tracker device and open up the settings. And we want to set the stat to track setting to channel. Then for the target value, we're going to set this to 4 because we have 4 wires. And we're going to set complete when receiving from to channel 7. Now all we need to do is backtrack over here to our electrical box, and we just need to open up the billboards and set all of them to enable during phase to none. That way they go invisible, just like this. And now to make the electrical box, these are the props I use. You can find these in the Pandora prop gallery and these in the yacht prop gallery. All I did was resize this and make this the back piece. And then I just added some wires in there and put this on the back to make it look like this. So now if we start the game and we take a look up in the top left-hand corner, we have our task and it says that we need to fix wires. And if we come up to the electrical box and we turn on the red wire and connect it to the red wire, it will show up and now we can move on. But if we mess up and connect the yellow wire to, say, the blue wire, you'll see we have to completely restart. But once we connect all 4 of these wires, we will complete our task in the top left-hand corner, and we are finished fixing with the wires. And that is how you make the Among Us task fixing wires in Fortnite Creative. That is all I have for this video, but don't forget to drop a like, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want, feel free to check out some of my other videos that are on screen now. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, stay up.